not.
What in the world is Kamala Harris thinking with this? After weeks of an empty campaign with no policies, no questions, no interviews allowed, with her willing accomplices in the mainstream media propping her up, with the never-ending praise and adoration, and ignoring the fact that she's not telling the American people anything about what she's going to be as president, when they finally get around to it, this is what they are leaking to the press about her upcoming economic plan? Again, what are they thinking here? So apparently, according to news reports, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is set to introduce a series of her so-called federal economic proposals on Friday, which would include measures to control food and grocery prices. Vice President Harris plans to propose a national ban on price gouging and price fixing within her first 100 days in office, aiming to address voter dissatisfaction with President Joe Biden's disastrous economic performance. According to reports, in her speech, Harris will specifically criticize the meat industry's middlemen for their role in price fixing, and she will highlight their history of illegal price control. And Harris will also outline plans to reduce prescription drug and housing costs during her visit to Raleigh, North Carolina. Let's hope it's also not price fixing and price controls. This will be her first policy-focused speech since being named the Democrat candidate back in July. And this is what they plan to unveil to address the mounting criticisms of her campaign's lack of policy direction. I'm sorry, but what in the world are they thinking here? Her approach echoes the command and control economies like the Soviet Union and would involve directing the Federal Trade Commission and other agencies to investigate and penalize large corporations that supposedly violate these new rules. Price controls are bad for the economy every time they're tried, and it's always done under the rubric of the government trying to help the little guys, making essential goods and services more affordable. But this almost always results with massive detrimental effects on the economy. This kind of stupidity by know-nothing bureaucrats is dangerous. This could lead the U.S. to economic ruin. I'll give you a couple examples as to why this happens. First, you've got the distortion of market signals. You'll end up with an interference of supply and demand. You see, price controls disrupt the natural balance of supply and demand. Price ceilings, which set a maximum price for goods, leads to shortages because they increase demand while discouraging supply. See, if you're a business owner and you're supplying food, or maybe you've got cattle, maybe you've got crops you're trying to sell, but your prices are capped, making it difficult to make money, especially in an era with high inflation, there is no incentive to produce. This is how you end up with mass shortages, like what happened in the Soviet Union. And it led to millions and millions of people starving to death. You see, prices serve as signals to producers and consumers about the relative scarcity and value of goods. When these signals are distorted by controls from the government, it leads to inefficient allocation of resources, as production is not directed towards what is most socially desired goods. And again, this leads to shortages. And that will in turn lead to the creation of black markets. You see, when official prices are set below market levels, meaning there's more value to sell something outside of your current market, black markets will emerge, where the goods are going to be sold at higher prices. This not only undermines the intended affordability, but also leads to illegal activities and corruption. And this will almost certainly happen thanks to our wide open border, which will only fuel the chaos there. But that's not all. You'll also end up with inferior products. There will be a deterioration in quality. Producers will most likely end up reducing the quality of their goods to maintain profitability under these new price controls. And this will further harm the consumers, you and me. And this will then lead to rationing at some point and queuing, because with shortages, alternative rationing mechanisms like queuing will become necessary for these businesses to survive. This will then increase the real cost to consumers who must spend time waiting for their goods. And speaking of reduction in quality, this will also lead to reduced investment and innovation. Price controls will dampen investment and innovation, as producers will face reduced profitability and uncertainty. Why would you want to invest if you're not going to make money? This will hinder economic growth and development. And long term, this will cause huge amounts of harm. Bottom line, price controls are not a cure for inflation and can actually prolong and increase it by diverting attention from the underlying causes, such as monetary supply issues. And this leads us to fiscal burdens for the government, which will then in turn mean for us. Price controls and maintaining them will end up requiring significant government intervention and oversight. This will impose further fiscal burdens and potentially lead to increased deficits, which is something, by the way, that we simply cannot afford now. Our country is already well over $33 trillion in debt. So, price controls may offer short-term relief, but inevitably it will lead to massive long-term economic harm. This kind of stupid planning here could potentially lead to economic ruin that could bring our entire country to its knees. Price controls are not a cure for inflation and may actually prolong and increase it by diverting the attention from the underlying causes, such as monetary supply issues, and focus it elsewhere. You would think someone in the Harris campaign would know something about this, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So hopefully there is someone with half a working brain there that might try and dissuade her from presenting this proposal to the public. Nothing about this is good for the American people, and it certainly wouldn't be good for her campaign. From the To Be Frank show, I am Adrian. Thanks for watching, my friends. I'll see you all in the next video.
I eat no for breakfast. So have I been told many times during my career things from, oh, you're too young, it's not your turn, they're not ready for you, no one like you has done it before. I've heard all of those things many times over the course of my career, but I didn't listen. And I would encourage anyone who's been told that, whatever their gender, to not listen, because again, don't be encumbered by the inability of others to see the potential of who you are.